Okay, good evening. We'll call our meeting to order this evening and forced to adopt the agenda. We have a recommendation here that the agenda for the April 20th, 2026 regular council meeting be accepted and passed. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Burke. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? I have none to declare. Councillor Rankin?
I have none.
Councillor Hearn?
None.
Councillor McCabe?
I have none.
Councillor Burke?
I have none.
All right, thank you. So we've got, going to move into a closed session here initially. And we have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North go into a meeting at 6:01 p.m. that is closed to the public under subsection 239, number 2 of the Municipal Act 2001, specifically to deal with item C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn, thank you. All those in favor? We're closed.
Recording.
Okay, so I have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North rise from a closed meeting session at 6:37 p.m. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the next recommendation is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report C and ED 2026-18, 320 King Street East, Mount Forest, and the council approve the confidential direction to staff. Moved by Councillor Hearn, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? Carried. And recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report RCED 2026-21 for 9135 Highway 6 Kenilworth, and the council approve the confidential direction to staff. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Burke. All those in favor? It's carried. And finally, the recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the closed meeting held on March 23rd, 2026. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And we'll recess until 7 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. Okay, my part says it's 7 o'clock, so we'll resume our council meeting. Welcome everybody who's joined us. And first thing we're going to do is stand up for Canada Day. Thank you. The next thing on our agenda will be our county council update, and I see we have Campbell Cork here to okay. I forgot to turn it on earlier. Campbell, welcome.
Thank you all for your time for a moment this evening to hear a bit of county news. And some of you may have heard recently the news of municipalities in our area that have had are having problems as they roll into cart waste and recycling pickup, them piling up in the downtowns and along the storefronts. And I know I've heard from some, and I'm sure maybe you've heard from some that are concerned about. So I thought maybe I would just spend a few minutes to speak of how the county is hoping to avoid this problem. This comes out of the committee. This, what I'm sort of speaking of now, won't be a done deal until county meets next week. But in any case, this is kind of this little update is really where we're at. And I got to say, it's really no wonder that there's confusion at this point surrounding recycling and waste pickup. You know, at one point, well, up until recently, the county was responsible, as you know, for all waste recycling, you know, the organics and waste. Well, now the producers have been tasked with taking over responsibility for residential recycling here in Wellington North this year, the rest of the province at various times. And as well as that happening this year, the county's waste and organics contract is coming due in 27, and we're expecting to have a new one in place for 28. The way the producers have been given this job of recycling, they've been only made responsible for residential, simply residential pickup of recycling. They have no responsibility for commercial, industrial, or institutional. And that really is where the rub of all this that we're talking about in the downtown starts to happen. Maybe some of the confusion too, because the producers will pick up residential recycling in the downtown, but not commercial or retail recycling. And it really doesn't make any sense, considering the bottom line is we're wanting to keep this stuff out of the landfill site. And but whether or not it makes sense isn't up to us. This is the province has called the shots on that, so it's them who can take responsibility for how it shakes out. But the producers will be using wheeled carts, so that's the start of the wheeled cart thing. And we at the county, or you at the municipality here locally, don't have anything to say about that. So it meant that the downtown businesses had their recycling taken away from them, basically. So the county has now taken over that responsibility. So we're left with the producers being partly responsible for recycling and the county being partly responsible for recycling. But regardless of the confusion of who does what, the bottom line is that probably carts will be coming. We'll be waiting for, see what comes in the tenders. Maybe we'll get a low tender from somebody that doesn't want to use them. I suspect we won't. And some of the waste companies have already made it very clear that they will not be entering any contract with us that does not include the carts and the robotic arms to pick up at curbside. And really that problem with the companies, the waste companies, is the fact that they're having trouble finding people to do the very difficult task of, for 8 hours, throwing sometimes heavy packages into a truck. They're getting employees who don't want to do the job, and they're getting the ones who are doing the job often having medical problems resulting from doing the job. But so it leaves us with probably the county going to be using carts. I would say definitely the producers using the carts. So you get the potential in the downtown of the stores winding up with 4 carts. And if there's apartments above the stores, that could be another 4 carts for each one of those. It doesn't take long before the potential for maybe a dozen carts in front of a single store. And many of the stores don't have an alleyway up the side of them so that they can get to the back with their carts. And people in apartments upstairs are often unable to be dragging a cart up those stairs. So often, in most cases, they're left with no alternative but to put them on the sidewalks, which gets us to the problem. And the problem is sort of exacerbated by the fact that these carts, it's like where to put them that the truck with the robotic arm can get at them between cars parking, snowbanks, sidewalk planters, sidewalk sales, and these carts that are going to be out there 7 days a week. It becomes a real problem. So if this is approved by county council, a new contract for waste and organic pickup in the downtown will see us not use carts in the downtown. We'll have kind of a hybrid waste truck that for most of the pickup, all the residential pickup probably, if we go that way, will be with the robotic arm. But when they get into the downtown, they won't use the carts, which will get us away from the proliferation of carts in the downtown. So just to underline the one thing, we're only talking about the downtown at this point for the possibility of doing a manual pickup. It'll depend on what comes from the tenders, what we do with the rest of it. But just along the same line, in an effort to reduce the number of carts for residential users, the county is urging the province to mandate single stream recycling. I mean, now we've got 2 and we're supposed to separate, but there's so much more now that are going into the blue boxes and being recycled. It would make a lot of sense to have a single stream recycling, so everything goes into one cart, and it just eliminates not only one cart, but it eliminates the confusion of what you can put in. The county also is lobbying the producers in the province to take on responsibility for industrial, commercial, and industrial waste recycling, excuse me. And as I said before, I mean, it seems to be counterproductive that for some reason the producers are let off the hook for industrial, commercial, and institutional. It just doesn't make sense, but that's maybe for another day. And finally, the county wants the producers to offer a choice of carts. The carts that you see in the downtown now, those green and yellow carts, are the carts that the county is providing for the recycling pickup in the downtown. Those carts will hold about 3 garbage bags, but there's also larger ones. I don't know exactly who might want a larger one, but there are larger ones. And there are smaller ones for, say, a single person might just want 1/2 that size. In any case, it appears that they're talking about only having one size, but they're urging the province, again, to make sure that there are other sizes available, that people will be able to get the size they want. So I think that's maybe where I'm going to stop on the recycling cart story. I hope it hasn't confused you more. I must say I, at times, am still a little confused about it, who's doing what, but I'm sure it'll clear itself up as time goes on. So thank you for your time and your patience and your hopefully your attention.
Any questions from Councilor Campbell? Councilor McCabe?
Go ahead. She had her hand up, those.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I was just wondering, you just mentioned the different sizes of carts. That if you can get the province to agree to the smaller one, you mentioned the three sizes. Would that smallest size, could it be used with a robotic arm?
Yeah, they have various sizes that the robotic arm will handle. Yeah.
Is it possible to push for residential to have the smallest?
Well, that's the idea. That is what the county is doing now. They've sent to the minister and a number of different ministries saying, really, this is the only thing that makes sense. I mean, we all have different needs. I mean, now with so much being recycled, I got to say, there's just the two of us and I'm having trouble doing a yellow bag once every 2 weeks, so just for instance, that's a waste, but it just makes sense that you have a choice. It seems to me that they don't just say, here, take the giant one, which might be in their interest, because if you've got this giant one, you won't be putting it out as often. But people probably don't want to have that hanging around.
Well, not only just hanging around, it's just trying to maneuver it out to the curb for a lot of seniors.
I hear you. We'll hope they're listening.
Thanks for that, Campbell. So when this was all going forward, did the county think that the producers were going to pick up downtown core and residential, or not residential, but did they think they were going to pick up everything that was downtown that they aren't picking up now?
Well, in the downtown, I mean, they're only taking responsibility for residential. So that's up above the stores. They won't pick up the stores.
So then the carts that are downtown, those were given to the residences?
No, those are the store. That's the county who is picked up from the producers not picking up recycling in the downtown. That's the county picking up recycling in the downtown. Because those stores just don't have any place to put their stuff,
Is that?
No, they're picking up those carts. They're picking up those yellow and green carts. Yep.
Just to make sure this is clear. So I know that when I was on the Amos Waste Task Force, there was this discussion about our downtowns and how are you going to determine what's residential recycling and what's commercial recycling?
No kidding.
Because a blue box is a blue box is a blue box, right? And the answer I got from the producers was that they're going to move to carts and they're going to have RFIDs on those carts so they can tell whether that cart is a residential cart or a commercial cart. And if it's a commercial cart, they're not picking it up. If it's residential, they will. Now, we're not there yet. We're still using the regular blue boxes. But the county knew this was coming. And so we put this program together with the carts for the commercial businesses in the 14 downtown cores, and then looking to expand that program to other places for those commercial, institutional, so places like churches and curling clubs and downtown businesses have access to it on the county's taxpayers' dime, because the producer group will not be picking them up. And it's getting more confusing because right now we have these, people see these carts in the downtowns, which is the county's initiative. They're going to be seeing carts in the downtown through the producers, and the carts are going to come to the residential areas from the recycling of producers. And then we're going to add to the confusion again by probably transitioning the garbage across the county to carts as well. But it's a moving target.
Yeah, and the producers, from what I can see, from my opinion, are reading the fine print, and they're doing absolutely right to the letter of you only have to pick up residential. And in fact, the county tried to make a deal with them. You're going right by would you pick it all up and we'll pay you? And they, no. So it hasn't been, I mean, I think maybe it'll get to a good spot at some point, and it is saving us money. Maybe.
Yeah. Find that out.
We'll see. Anyway,
Ultimately, we want people to recycle as much as possible,
Yeah.
so it stays out of the landfill.
that's the goal. That's what this is all about. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're on to adopting the minutes of the council and public meeting. So we have a recommendation that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on April 7th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councilor McCabe, seconded by Councilor Burke. Any questions or comments on those? All those in favor? It's carried, thank you. And from the public meeting, we have a recommendation that the council of the corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the public meeting held on April 7th, 2026. Moved by Councilor Rankin, seconded by Councilor Hearn. Questions or comments on those? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. We're on to items for consideration. And I think between the five of us, we've pretty much picked out everything to be considered. I don't have the list right in front of me. Here I have 12B1 is for discussion, 12C1, 12C2, 12D1, 12D2, 12E1, 12E2, and 12F1 and F2. So if there's anything left, the next motion will take care of it. Okay, so the recommendation here is that all items listed under items for consideration on the April 20th, 2026 council agenda, with the exception of those items identified for separate discussion, be approved and the recommendations therein be adopted. Moved by Councilor Rankin, seconded by Councilor Hearn. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. So we'll move to B1, 12B1. This is planning report, final planning report for Dakota Trucking Services. And we have a couple of recommendations here. Okay. First one is that the council of the corporation of the Township of Wellington North received a recommendation report dated April 10th, 2026 regarding the proposed official plan OPA 2025-10 and zoning bylaw amendments, ZBA 11/25, to permit a repair and service establishment for agricultural equipment and trucks. Could I get a mover and a second? Councilor McCabe, seconded by Councilor Burke. Questions, comments? Councilor McCabe.
Thank you, and excuse me, through you, Mayor Lance. I only wanted to pull this just to give my full support to this bylaw amendment. I think with the increasing prices that farmers are going to have to pay for seed and fertilizer, having a repair shop close to where they farm in Wellington North here, it's going to be well served. It's close to their home, which is not only practical, but it's needed. And I think the proposed amendment supports our farmers, Ontario agriculture, small business, and it gives an opportunity for good paying employment in Wellington North for those that actually live in Wellington North. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Councilor Burke.
Yes, through you, Mayor Lennox. So I pulled this to say that I'm not in support of this zoning amendment and OPA. Originally at the public meeting, I was under the impression that this was an expansion of the business that would create more jobs, but have now come to understand that it's not an expansion, that it's a relocation. So I question how many jobs it is actually going to create. And yes, it will save time for our agricultural residents that use this service, but it will pull away from their clientele in Center Wellington. Not to mention that the land swap for agricultural lands is not equal. So therefore, I do not support it.
Any questions, comments? Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. I'm going to confuse the issue and sort of sit on the fence on this one. I do believe that it's a service that we need in the community. I did speak with Darren because this company is offering MTO safety compliance, and I wasn't sure whether Maple Lane did that as well. And so apparently they do not. And so it's not a service that's being duplicated. And I am concerned as well about the traffic. We have a proposed subdivision in Tim's and a gas station on the other side, right in the proximate area. And I was worried about the traffic. And I was under the impression that it wasn't just trucks, even though they're farm related, that it might be farm equipment as well. And some of these farm related field equipment is extremely large. I just couldn't imagine them in that area whatsoever. So Darren said that they'll be using an easement. Now, Van Harten had it in his report, said that there are no concerns with using the easement. Home Hardware is not in favor of them using the easement. So at the moment, I like the idea of having the business in our area. I'm just not sure about the location. And I understand that that was the only location that they found viable for them. So at the moment, I'm 50-50.
Councillor Hurd?
Honestly, I'm still on the fence about it too. If it weren't for the land swap, I think it'd be a lot more to the other side, but that does make it much more amenable and it doesn't fragment the land. So that is a major concern. So I think that that's a real positive. It's in a better location than a lot of locations could possibly be. But I am still worried about traffic conflict, mitigation and all those types of things. I think it's going to be hard on some of the people. And, we did hear from the neighbor across the road that, they had concerns. Something to kind of mitigate some of their conflict might be a good thing. I don't know what that would be though.
Okay. Councillor McKay?
Just going back to what Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn said, with the easement, I think that's more of a private concern than something that we can decide here. That's up to them. And then with regards to some of the other businesses right in the vicinity, I find it contradictory that they have a business there and they're allowed to have big trucks in at their business, but they don't want big trucks across the road. So I don't find that argument to be to hold water at all when it was brought up.
Any other comments? Guess I'll just add my own. I'm in favor of proceeding with this. I think with the land swap, it makes it a viable alternative. I think given the location of the river and the decision to not proceed with maintaining the house as residential, I think it makes the possibility of serious conflict with other land uses much less. And I think this is probably as good a location we're going to get for a much needed service like this as we can find. If this is the previous area was a long-standing rural industrial area. We have other rural industrial uses adjacent to it. It makes sense to me that this is where this would go. I don't know, does staff have anything they'd like to comment on at this point?
Just like to remind you that this is a motion just to receive the report. Okay, so yeah, don't want to.
Either this recommendation or the next.
Okay.
Yeah, this recommendation is just to receive the report, but we're going to get to the meat of this in the next recommendation. Curtis?
Yes, through you, Mayor Lennox. So this afternoon I went and spoke again with County Roads and to talk about traffic matters related to the property. So they had a couple things that they raised, and I've addressed some of them in the report to you as well. So the first thing in regards to the easement, so they did County Roads has confirmed they do have access onto 109, that the use is available for them. So they do have frontage and access. And I would note then the use of the easement, that would be between the various landowners. And if it's something that Dakota wished to pursue, that's something they could, if it was important to his business. But he still would have access onto 109. That was one item we discussed. And then also in terms of traffic and the traffic study. So right now, I believe the traffic report is suggesting there'd be less than 50 vehicles in the peak hour. So that's what they call like the busiest hour of the day. And that'd be less than 50 vehicles. So normally the county roads department would require someone to have at least 100 vehicles an hour before they would require a full traffic study. So in this case, it was less than 50 is what's proposed. So ultimately, the full traffic study wasn't required. There was a traffic brief, which did discuss this, that has been prepared to support the application, and they were satisfied with that information that was provided. And then also we note that for the future plaza down the road, it will have a traffic light, and there will be some further work done with that design, and that still has to be done with the plaza and work along that area as well.
So if this application is successful, a fairly rigorous site plan control process needs to be gone through by the developer that would deal with some of the traffic mitigation measures that show up in the report, and some of the land use conflicts, if any, we would address those through site plan control.
And I think we have.
Yeah, I have some here. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Yep, the light's on. Yep. Just to clarify for Mrs. Burke there, it is a second location. There was never talks about relocation. It's never from day one. So I don't know where the misinformation was, but just to clarify that it is a second location, that we're hoping to have anywhere from 20 to 30 well-paying jobs. That's what I need for the size of the facility that it is. So yes, and they will all be new jobs from local people, hopefully. That's the plan. Everybody that's educated is more than welcome to come. So to clarify that, and then yeah, the traffic issue as far as heavy equipment and stuff like that, that's the whole purpose of the easement. Yes, there's conflicts with the landowner, not really a conflict, something that we can get through, not an issue in my mind. It is warranted through there. So that's the direction that we were going to go to mitigate that issue with the large traffic. But as we heard here, that I do have access from the traffic study, they think that it should be just fine going through. So,
Sir, can we get your name for the minutes?
Dakota Rogers. Yeah.
Councilor Rankin.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. Thank you. I just have two questions. One, if they're going to be using the access from 109 and these trucks are fairly large, how is the turning going to be made? Will they have to sort of cut out into the oncoming lane to get into the driveway?
No, that's a really wide road, so they would not have to do that. And I'm sure in all the development, the driveway will have to be quite large, and so on and so forth. So there should be no swinging, and I know what you're getting at, but no, I don't think that should be an issue.
Okay, thank you. And just one other point. You're going to be mainly an agricultural business. I'm just a bit concerned that you will be taking other business as well. What are the preventions that you will not be more other business than agriculture? Do you have any?
Yeah, so I can clarify that. So what isn't agricultural is like township trucks, fire departments, local fire departments. Like that's my business now, is anything that isn't agricultural is to do with the community, if that makes any sense. I don't have fleets of trucks that I work on from Toronto and all, and I don't have any intentions of doing that. We're the size of facility that we're going to be and the amount of people that are going to be working there, we can only take on so much. These big repairs, these big vehicles, they take a lot of time, and that's man hours. So, back to why there's only 150 vehicles an hour, because literally it's not a drive through, if that makes any sense. It's people bring their stuff, they drop it off, they leave, and we get it fixed for them. They come back and pick it up, kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. So the first recommendation of two, this is just to basically to see the report. Receive the recommendation report. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And then the second recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Wellington North supports proposed official plan amendment OPA 2025-10 for part lot 36, concession 1, former Township of West Garifraxa 8051 Wellington County Road 109, and part lot 35, concession 1, former Township of West Garifraxa 7556 first line, and the township clerk notify the County of Wellington of this position. And further, the council supports the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, and the final amending bylaw be brought to council for approval once the County of Wellington has rendered a decision on the official plan. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councilor McCabe, Councilor Rankin, thank you for seconding it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're on to C1. This is the Community Improvement Plan report. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report RCED 2026-19 on the Rameth Life Center in Mount Forest, and council approve a building conversion and improvement grant in the amount of $5,000 to Rameth Life Center, 119 Wellington Street West, Mount Forest, for a new eaves trough and downspouts on their buildings. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Burke and Councilor McCabe, thank you. Questions, comments? Councilor McCabe?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Lennox. Yeah, I fully support this ask. And I think it shows our council's support for our businesses that are in the area from other applications for this, but I think our support for those that are in most need.
Other questions, Councilor Burke?
No questions. Just always like to highlight the community improvement grants so that it keeps awareness to the businesses of Wellington North. I think the last time I talked to Robin, based on the applications we've had so far, that if you're looking to put it in an application, you should do it sooner than later, as there's been quite an uptake in the applications this year.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Move on to LC2. This is in regard to the recreation policies. So I have a recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report RCED 2026-20 recreation policies and adoption of a consolidated recreation accounts receivable, cancellation, and refund policy. And the council rescinds the following policies: 001-2016 recreation programs cancellation and refund policy, and 017-2015 recreation accounts receivable policy. And further, the council adopt the Wellington North Recreation Accounts Receivable Cancellation and Refund Policy. Could I get a mover and a second, please? That's what I need. Councillor Hearn, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor McKay?
Thank you. Through you again, Mayor Lennox. I was just curious if this is just a housekeeping update or that kind of the gist of it? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. Yes, this is essentially a housekeeping update that ensures that our policies are aligned with current practices and also formally rescinding the outdated policies. So we just consolidated that all of that information for council and for the public as well.
Okay, thank you.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Move on to D1. This is the award of the asphalt program, and we have a recommendation that reads as follows: that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report INF 2026-004 Board of Asphalt Program, and the Council award RFT 2026-001 to Associated Paving and Materials Limited at a cost of $1,369,830, excluding taxes. And further, the council authorized the manager of infrastructure and engineering to sign and necessary agreements with Associated Paving and Materials Limited to execute the asphalt program project. Mover in a second, please. Councilor McCabe, Councilor Burke, thank you. Questions, comments? Councilor Rankin?
I just had one. I'm just not sure how, if I was reading it wrong, but I'm just wondering if the asphalt program is to repair any roads around town or whether it was one specific area.
I think it's a whole bunch of areas, but maybe Tammy's got the list at her fingertips.
Yes, through you, Mayor Lennox, to Councillor Rankin. So there's 2 rural roads that were proposed as part of the 2026 capital budget. So it's line 6 between County Road 14 and Side Road 7. And then also Side Road 7 West between Concession 7 and Concession 9. And then the urban roads, there's 3 of them that are all located within Mount Forest. Princess Street from Dublin Street to the west side of Strathcona entrance, then Princess Anne Street between Dublin and Arthur Street, and Silver Birch Ave between Durham Street to the dead end.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I got a tough one for you, Tammy. Given the challenges we had with asphalt quality on Main Street, and anecdotally, I'm hearing stories of similar challenges elsewhere. Can you kind of walk me through what we can do from a quality control monitoring perspective to make sure we have high quality asphalt everywhere?
Yes. So our testing procedures is that we take samples of the asphalt as it's being placed. This contractor is the same contractor that did the asphalt program last year, where we did the testing and we didn't have any deficiencies within the mix design. Again, we continue to do that quality assurance of it. We're also discussing internally on different parameters that we could do, where we could do a trial batch of the asphalt prior to paving to ensure that all the mix design aspects are within the asphalt. Ultimately, it comes down to the day of paving. Sometimes the aggregate pile could be wet and then it throws off the whole batch. So it really is good to have high quality control at the asphalt plant whenever they're batching it, and then to have staff on site to witness it go down and make sure they're doing the proper compaction to it as well.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll go on to D2. This is the award of the Clark Street reconstruction. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report INF 2026-005 award of Clark Street reconstruction, and the Council award the RFC request for tender 2026-004 Clark Street reconstruction contract James Toomey Construction Limited at a cost of $1,552,673.56, excluding taxes. And further, the council authorizes the manager of infrastructure and engineering to sign any necessary agreements with James Toomey Construction Limited to execute the Clark Street reconstruction contract. Did I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Rankin and Councilor Hearn, thank you. Questions, comments? Councilor Rankin?
Thank you. Through your Mayor Lennox. I was just wondering, the total construction price is 1,500,000 and a little bit extra, but then the total estimated cost is going to be 2 million. Now the extra, it'll be 493,500 on top of the construction price. Is that what we are responsible for, or is that what the construction company will be doing and charging?
Tammy, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lennox, to Councilor Rankin. So the contractor's portion of it is to supply the material, to put the pipe in the ground, to have the excavators there, to have the trucks and the aggregate, and actually do the physical construction of it. The extra is for the engineering, contract administration, inspection. There is a large contingency amount there as well for any surprises that come. There's also a large amount for the excess soil management that we have to do through the Ontario Regulation 406. So we have additional testing of the soil, and if it's any contamination, then we have to dispose of it properly. So all those items are outlined within the report, and the township is responsible to pay those, but it will not be to the contractor. It'll be to the various engineering and excess soil people.
And thank you. And do we know when it will start?
So currently, Enbridge Gas is on site doing a gas main relocation. Their project completion date is for May 22nd, and then the contractor will be able to start after that. There has to be time and space distance between the two contractors before one can move in.
Thank you.
I just had a question as well, Tammy. Have we done major reconstruction work with this construction company in the past?
So Thune Construction has done some servicing work for us. They recently did servicing work on Adelaide Street, where 2 sets of services went in, and the restoration of the roadway. We also did the reference check on them, and they've completed other road reconstruction work, one in Center Wellington, that was successful down there.
Okay. And are these ones part of the Miller Group as well?
I do not believe so, no.
Okay. All right. And did I read the report correctly that this is coming in significantly under budget of what we were expecting?
Yes, it did.
That's always great news and music to my ears. So thanks for that. Any other questions or comments from council? Okay, all those in favor? Carrie, thank you. On to the records management report. The recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report 2026-005 records management for information. Question, oh, better get a mover to seconder here. Councilor Burke, Councilor McCabe, thank you. Questions or comments? Councilor Burke?
Yes, so I just wanted to pull this report and say that the clerk's department has done a tremendous amount of work with the new records management software. So happy to see that it's being utilized, and would also just like to ask through you, Mayor Lennox, to the clerk, I support getting rid of the documentation, being as it doesn't seem like we've had to use any of the information. My question would be, if when we're getting rid of it, would we use the Crime Stoppers shred event? It would be the same cost, and we would also be donating to a worthwhile cause.
So through you, I believe the Crime Stoppers do that on weekend. So if I could get an employee to assist me lifting 100 boxes to take them there, we could certainly do that. It's pretty labor intensive, but there are more than 100 boxes to be shredded.
Other questions, Councilor McCabe?
Well, thank you, yes, and through you, I just wanted to commend Burke as well and then everyone involved for it, because it's a big accomplishment to get 40,000 documents digitalized is not a small feat, and it's got to be a lot more efficient, which is great. You dig into files for paper documents, so it's got to be a lot more user friendly as well. So my question is, if I wanted to find a document, like a planning decision or cemetery records or anything like that, can I, as a private citizen, access these digital files as well?
So through you, no, this is an intern.
This is all internal. Okay.
Yeah, the cemetery records are all, we have a list on our website, of the people who are interred in the cemetery. And you can cross-reference that with find a grave, but I mean, most of the information you would want is public. So if anybody calls, we can easily find it and send it, but it's not something that's for public use.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Councilor Rankin?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Lennox. I think also that that's an amazing accomplishment to get all those. And I'm just wondering, is there still capacity for a lot more using the same program?
Yes, we're not anywhere near capacity, maybe at 50%.
Oh, that's good. And I just have one other question. According to the records retention bylaw, the documents that will be shredded, if anything is noteworthy historically, will it be kept as permanent?
Your worship, all of our bylaws, our original bylaws, and all of our minutes, they're digitized, but the paper copies have been sent to the museum. And so the museum has bylaws and minutes from all of the other municipalities, the amalgamated municipalities, that we still don't have copies of our system yet, just because there's so many of them. And but they're easily accessible there. I just call and say, you know, I need these minutes, and they're delivered right away. But those are from 1800, 1930. But those are all going to the museum for to be archived.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I just have one, and it just came up in my mind, and that is around things like the municipal and award grant type documents. Are we able to digitize that as well?
So through you, yeah. So what I did was all of the reports, the engineering reports, we digitized. There's a lot of things in those files that are like pink telephone thing that says call Bob. It does no date, no phone number. So those, I didn't digitize those, but those are still here as all of our roll files. So those are not being destroyed.
Okay, so those old parchment maps and stuff like that.
They're all here.
And the engineered drawings are also.
They're all here. Yeah.
So if I want to have a good sneeze, I can come in and go through them.
Yes. You can.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to the bring your own outdoor festivals report. So a recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive for information report CLK 2026-005. Bring your own at outdoor festivals and events. Did I get a mover and a second for that? Councilor Burke, Councilor Rankin, thank you. Questions, comments? Who wants to go first? Councilor McCabe?
No, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I completely support not permitting this. Well, at first glance, it looks like we're prohibiting people from having a beverage at a festival. That's not the case. Service clubs, which do so much for our community, need an avenue like this to support all of their plans, and ultimately their plans are in common. Help out everyone here in Wellington North so that they can enjoy splash pads, you name it. Not to mention that service clubs are holding their events, always employ SmartServe, and they can monitor any consumption or any situation to make sure that things don't get out of hand. Which if this went through, or if we accepted it, I don't know how you police that, so to speak. And the unintended possibilities of not supporting a move like this really can and can't be measured, I think. And I was talking to a colleague of mine, and she said, in the end, we, the residences, are the only ones here relying on already stretched law enforcement to respond when things go wrong. And as the province expands access, we have to manage the consequences. And I like that a lot, that last little piece. So limiting or not permitting this in Wellington North, I think is the right approach.
I'll do. Councilor Burke?
Yes, so I too support the recommendations that are outlined in the report. I know we're just receiving it for information, but I don't believe that there's any need to bring it back to pass a bylaw because I've had several calls with regards to the announcement from Queen's Park and folks that knew that this was on the agenda tonight. Yes, as Councillor McCabe has said, service clubs rely on these dollars and have the controls to enforce the alcohol consumption laws. And also, many of the festivals and events that we have are family oriented. So when those festivals happen, it's a sanctioned area to consume alcohol. It's not throughout the event. So again, I thank the clerk's department for putting this together and support it the way it's written.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I too support the staff's bylaw, every condition that they have put forth. And I believe that families have the right to be able to enjoy community activity without having to have alcohol nearby. And I just can't imagine trying to enforce that when people are all over the areas with alcohol.
Any other comments?
I would just, I'm wondering, now that I'm reading the recommendation, rather than just to receive it for information, do we want a friendly amendment where we actually want to state and that the council is not in support of permitting bring your own at outdoor festivals and events? And then that makes it pretty clear.
Yep.
Is that a friendly amendment?
I think the mover and seconder are nodding their heads. Can I just ask a process question? So the province is permitting this. Do we need a bylaw that prohibit it? Like, can you explain the process that we need to go through? And I guess the other question is, what happens if something changes in the future? How do we deal with it?
Right. So the way program legislation is written, you don't need a bylaw to prohibit it. You need a bylaw to permit it. And if there's changes in the future, it will go through a public process. And at that point, a report would come back to council. I'm not saying that the province is just going to override it and let everybody drink everywhere. That could happen too. But right now, they're still giving municipalities the control over whether to have it or not.
Well, thank you for that. And I just was thinking, I can't think of any instance today where we would want to permit it. But if this is available and there is a situation that crops up in the future where we think we would want to permit it, we still have the flexibility to act on it.
Yes, you would just pass a bylaw then to permit it.
Thank you. Right.
Thank you. I just had one question. I was just wondering why this had to be passed by April 30th. Why the rush?
So through you, I would expect it's because municipalities who are wanting this, the festivals and events start in May and they wanted to be, have this in place for them.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? As amended? Carried. You. We'll move on to F1. This is the correspondence from Minister Platt. Recommendation reads as follows: that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North received the correspondence dated April 1st, 2026 from Honorable Robert J. Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, regarding the Building Homes and Improving Transportation Infrastructure Act 2026, or Bill 98. Getting a mover and a seconder for that, please. Councilor Rankin and Councilor Hearn, thank you. Questions, comments? Councilor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, no, Mayor Lennox, I just had a couple of questions. I don't know who answered them, but just going through everything that he's written, who pays for developing not-for-profit retirement homes? That's not in there. Subsection 93 -1 doesn't really pertain to us. And then the removal of legislative requirement for the minister to provide notice on proposed amendments or revocations of the minister's zoning orders or MZOs. I don't think that's great either, and it, in my mind, it could allow massive housing projects that could literally just be pushed through, unless I'm reading this all wrong. If you want to try and give me some clarity on that, Brooke.
Through you, Mayor Lennox, to Councillor McCabe. These omnibus bills have a lot of information in them, and so staff is reviewing all of the proposals of this letter. Refers to a few of the changes, but there's a lot of other information in those bills as well. So I would suggest that as staff digest some of the things, we can provide some summaries back. We're working with the county as well. The county is working on putting together a report of all the various changes, and there's several different acts that will be affected by this. So the timelines as well are quite short in terms of the turnaround. So I would say later this week, staff should have some more information pulled together, and we can hopefully provide a bit better of a framework for either commenting or understanding what's being proposed here.
Yeah, that'd be great just to see, parse out what actually is going to pertain to us and how we can react or discuss it. So, all right, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Rankin?
Thank you. Under the Planning Act for Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, it said it provides the minister with authority to exempt lower tier municipalities from requirement to conform with upper tier official plan to facilitate voluntary early implementation of the proposed official plan framework. I'm just wondering, would that also conform to some other bylaws that the lower tier does not have to conform to the upper tier? Because as you know, there are some things that I don't agree with that is legible by upper tier.
Through you, Mayor Lennox, to Councillor Rankin. So the county's official plan is our official plan. We have one official plan. Now we work with them to develop those official plans, but the province is also suggesting standardizing official plans across the province and implementing entirely new planning frameworks for every municipality. So I think there's still a lot to be seen in terms of what this means. There could be specific rules around many different issues that municipalities would have thoughts on.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the challenge is. There's just a lot contained in this legislation, and it has yet to be seen. None of the regulations have been released, so we don't really know what the details are. So we're hoping to keep an eye on it and have consultation with the county and our other municipal partners to better understand that. And then I think that's the kind of information we would want to share. That's more clear.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't have an insight into the details of that, but when I read that, and my impression was that was, so the county is going through a process to update its official plan, and that's a requirement to update it on about a 5-year cycle. And my understanding of that provision was that if county hadn't got to updating for instance, a housing projection for our community, even though the number might have been established, but it had not yet made it through the full official planning process, that then we would be able to speed it up. That's my understanding, but again, I don't pretend to be. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Let's move on to F2. This is the correspondence from Sean Schill. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive correspondence from Sean Schill dated February 3rd, 2026 in support of ZBA 11-25. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor McKay, seconded by Councilor Rankin. Questions or comments? Councilor Rankin?
I think I pulled that in regard to the Dakota trucking, and I had my answers for it, so I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor? Thank you. That brings us to the end of those items for consideration. Is there any notice of motion this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to community group meeting report. Anybody have anything they'd like to report on this evening? Councilor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I have several. On this Friday, on April 24th, is the Cultural Symposium in Arthur, and it enhances cultural strengths and learning and networking. And it's down in Arthur Community Center. And the tickets have to be purchased through Eventbrite for it. So it should be great. It's the joining of Mapleton and Minto and Wellington North. And then on Saturday, May 2nd, the Hospital Auxiliary is having a spring lunch from 11:30 to 1. It's a barbecue lunch for $20, and all the proceeds go to purchase hospital equipment. And the third thing is I had the pleasure of going to the tour of the Wellington produce packaging today. And it's the largest producer in Canada of strictly producing packaging and no other products along with it, like what would fill the boxes. And so I think we should be very pleased that they've been located in Wellington North.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to report on? I have a few items I'd like to bring up. So at the volunteer celebration event, I met an organization that I had never met before. So I thought it was a really interesting comment. It's a company, an organization called We Watch. And they had a display at the volunteer event, and I called them, I stopped and inquired about them. They are kind of a facilitator that are helping in-home childcare to be set up to meet the regulatory requirements and be able to access the CWELP grant money, which gets to the subsidized daycare. So I knew nothing about them, so I invited them to come and make a presentation to our council to help get the word out. I think if there are people who aspire to in-home daycare, they provide a sort of a bridge between the bureaucratic network that's required to meet the requirements and qualify for that grant money. And it will also facilitate finding children to fill that daycare. It will also facilitate, if somebody is sick, that they would have backup plans for parents, so that if a daycare provider happened to have a day that they can't look after kids, so the kids could be relocated to an alternative site. So I think that's a really valuable option for parents to have. So I hope they do find the time to come and give us a presentation, because I think it would be great to get the information out there. Went to the I mentioned last time we were going to the Lions. I think they called it Wing Ding Night, and we had some wings and pizza, and the Lions entertained a whole bunch of potential new members and had a great evening. I got buttonholed by the group of people from the Louise Marshall Hospital Foundation to remind me that the gala is coming up on May the 30th, I believe it is. And I was given some promotional materials with the various sponsoring opportunities, which are a little out of my own personal league, I'm afraid. Good on them for asking. And so that was a really interesting evening all around. And I also want to just give a little update on Wellington North Power. So as I think I mentioned before, one of our directors, Paul Smith, took on the temporary interim CEO type position, which meant he had to resign from the board. And with our non-township related board members, we had a kind of a staggering, so that if one member, couldn't continue or so on, we weren't recruiting a whole board at the same time. Unfortunately, now we've got the two external board members are on the same cycle currently, that they would match the cycle of the council. So I think Brooke will be bringing a report forward to suggest that we extend some of those terms and get it staggered out, so that we have make sure that we have continuity on the board over a period of time. And they're excellent board members in my opinion, and I think they're willing to cooperate on that. And I think it would be good to make sure that we have long-term continuity on the board. Councilor McCabe, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry. Just with that, is there terms where those board members can time out?
So we had them on a 4-year cycle. And I think we actually went past the cycle with Paul Smith. He should have had a renewal.
But that's what I mean. Can they renew?
It's up to us.
They want, or is there?
No, it's up to us.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's what I wasn't sure.
I think we have an excellent board.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Paul had to resign to take on this other position, but I think that's working well. And but I do think that the two remaining external board members, we want to make sure that they're not lost.
Yep.
During this next cycle, at least that both of them aren't. So yes, that will be coming for a council recommendation, and I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up there that I think we have an excellent board. We're working through some of the things that we think, we hear a lot about what's happening to our power sector over the coming years with electrification of our economy, and this group is digging into the details and trying to make sure that Wellington North Power is positioned as best it can for future. I had something else I wanted to mention, but I'll have to wait for another day, I guess. Anybody have anything else they'd like to speak about? Okay, we'll move on to bylaws then. We just have the one bylaws. And I'm going to ask Karen if you to, because this is a little confusing because we already did this in a sense and we're repealing and redoing. So.
Yes, so there was an error in the bylaw. The contents of the bylaw that were, and I think it was an issue. Sorry, I'm not on speaker. It was the bylaw was incorrect in that the contents of the bylaw were a copy of a different bylaw. So
came to light that we've made a boo-boo and now we're fixing it.
I think during the last meeting it came to light. So.
Okay. Okay. So we have the recommendation here that bylaw number 33-2026 be read and passed. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Rankin and Councilor Hearn, thank you. Any other questions or comments in regard to this? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. We're on to the cultural moment.
The Wellington North Cultural Roundtable presents A Cultural Moment, the history of Arnott Construction. Arnott Construction was founded in 1929 by Leonard Arnott when he was just 20 years old. In the midst of the Great Depression, his persistence and determination was evident as he built the construction business. The first contract was awarded to Leonard on July 4, 1929 in Mount Forest. A motion was passed, moved by Councillor Noonan, seconded by Councillor Gardner, that the tender of Leonard Arnott be accepted under conditions specified for $3,800, also for laying tile on Sligo Street. At this time, equipment of any kind was literally shunned. They sought to employ as many as possible. The trench was dug by placing men on tiers, which were dug into the trench, each about 3 feet higher than the last. Throughout the 1930s, the company was involved in culvert and bridge projects across central Ontario, and in 1935 they moved to Arthur. The company officially incorporated as Arnott Construction Limited in 1954, with Leonard as president, his wife Hilda as vice president, and employing a crew of about 30 local men. Leonard knew the value of creating quality product and providing excellent service, and understood the value of a person and his employees. Arnott Construction had the benefit of a group insurance plan by 1954, something unheard of in the construction industry in those days. Work frequently brought them north, where one project of interest was the building of a bridge over the Sand River on the new Trans-Canada Highway in 1959, about 100 miles north of Sault Ste. Marie. The company was kept in the family, as the majority of the interest was acquired by Leonard's three sons, Warren, Keith, and Wayne, in 1973. In 1974, the company moved their head office to Collingwood, where they continued with bridge, dam, water reservoir, water, sewer, and road infrastructure projects. Sadly, in 1983, Leonard Arnott passed away, and his son Wayne acquired control of the company. In 2006, the company once again relocated its head office to Midhurst, just north of Barrie, and is now run by the third generation of the family, Wayne's son Todd. Today, you will see the company engaged primarily in sewer, water, and road construction projects all across Simcoe County and beyond. Throughout its nearly 100 years of business, Arnott Construction has been recognized for quality of construction and continues to grow, a testament to the company's strong foundation built in Wellington North.
Great, thank you for a moment. Upcoming meetings, notices, and announcements. So, of course, the Mount Forest Chamber of Commerce meets tomorrow at 5 to 6 p.m. The Cultural Symposium, as mentioned earlier, is Friday at 10 to 2. Mayor's Breakfast, Friday, May 1st, 7:15 to 9. And our next regular council meeting is Monday, May the 4th at 2 p.m. With that, we'll move on to confirming bylaw. A recommendation here that bylaw number 34-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North at its regular meeting held on April 20th, 2026, be read and passed. Moved by Councillor Burke, seconded by Councillor McCabe. All those in favor? Carried. And we'll get on to adjournment here. We have a recommendation that the regular council meeting of April 20th, 2026 be adjourned at 8:14 p.m. Moved by Councillor Hearn, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? It's carried. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.